Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be discussing about chain of responsibility design pattern. It is one of the behavioral design pattern. It is quite interesting. Let us discuss about that. I will give with real time one example. For example, we are making a call to customer care, right? Regarding Wi-Fi issue. So the very first, the basic agent will pick up your call and ask for the issue, and you will be discussing the issue with the basic agent. If the basic agent is able to resolve your issue, then fine. For example, the basic agent is not able to resolve your issue, what will happen? Then your call will be forwarded to the technical person, and the technical person will be discussing about the issue and will try to resolve the issue, right? If the issue is resolved, then fine. For example, if issue is not able to be resolved with the help of technical person also, they will connect your call to something like manager, and they'll put a request regarding like issue of new setup box or Wi-Fi, right? So like that, here observe the basic agent. Very first, when we connect the first call to the first person, the basic agent will be acting as I can say like he or she will be taking the responsibility of resolving your issue. If that basic agent is not able to resolve your issue, then your responsibility, like I mean your issue or your call will be forwarded to another person, right? Like technical person. Now the technical person is taking your responsibility of resolving the issue. If the technical person is not able to resolve your issue, then the responsibility will be handed over to what? One more person, like manager or also. Look here, there is a chain of responsibilities. First, request from the request went to your call went to basic agent. Responsibility is taken. From their responsibility is forwarded to technical person. From their responsibility is forwarded to manager. Like that, it's a chain of responsibility. This is a simple example to discuss about the design pattern, chain of responsibility design pattern. So let me start with the introduction. After that, I will go to the coding example. The chain of responsibility is a basic behavioral design pattern that allows requests to be passed along a chain of handlers. That's what I'm telling. The issue or request will be forwarded from one place to another. It's a chain of handlers. One here handler is simple. I call it as object. Object is going to handle the request. Otherwise, it will be forwarded to the next handler. From there, it will be handed to the hand over to the next object, right? So here each handler decides, means each object decides whether we can take the responsibility, that we can assign the object responsibility to the object, or we can make request, process the request, or pass it to the next handler in the chain, next object in the chain. So like that, the responsibility is shifting from one object to another object, chain of responsibility. This is one example or introduction of chain of responsibility design pattern. And see here, I'll be taking care of, I will be discussing about one example about email validation, password validation. For example, there is an object for checking your email valid or not. Email is valid or not will be checked whenever a person is logging into our website. Will be checking valid email id, valid password or not. If then valid only, then only we will be allowed to log in, right? The similar way here, for checking whether the email entered is valid or not, we will be taking very first we will be checking that valid or not, right? So after that, password is there, password is valid or not, we will be checking. So here, let us assume there is a handler, there is an object for checking your email ID is valid or not. Okay. So, and one more handler is there for checking password or not. For password checking and email checking, we can go for the single object, we can take the responsibility. Otherwise, we can shift the responsibility from one person to, one object to another object, right? So from there, for example, I will discuss about like email checking, password is strong or not. 3 responsibilities are there total. So individually we can handle the responsibility to each object, or the responsibility can be forwarded from one object to another object. It's a series or chain of responsibilities. That's why this design pattern is said to be what? Chain of responsibility design pattern. Now let me start with coding. Let me take out one abstract class. Let me name it as validator. Why I'm writing validator is, as my example, what I'm going to write is about validation of email and password. I'm limiting myself to email validation and password validation. We can enhance or we can extend the responsibility, chain of responsibility, with more and more validations. Okay. So here I'm going to take one private object. I'm going to create a private object, reference object for a class validator. Let me name it as next. Why I'm naming it as next is, handing it to next responsibility like that, right? As we are discussing, next responsibility will be given to this particular object. Next responsibility will be given to this object. That's why the name itself I kept it as next. There's no rule that I have to put the name next. Okay. Now I'm going to set the value. I'm going to set the value to this next by using setter method. How we'll write setter method? Public void set next. This is how we write, right? Validator next. This dot next equals to next. So setting a value to the next is done. Now I'll take one more method, validate public void validate. Validate is the method. It is not at all related to class name. Look at both class name and method names are different. That's why this is not the constructor. This is just a method. Now what I am going to do here is I am going to write or create two objects. For email, I am going to create one variable or object of string type, and one is for password. Let me write down is password. Right? So now look at what I have done here. Validate method I have taken. Within the two parameters I have taken here, email is the parameter, object what I have created of string for the class string, and for class string I am creating one more object here, pw. These are two parameters we are using here. Why? Because my example is related to email and password. That's why I have taken this. Here just write down if next is not equals to null. If next is not equals to null, then let me write down next dot validate of email and password. Means you're going to call the method validate method with parameters email and password only when the next is not null. Means somebody is taking the responsibility. It doesn't have responsibility there, then it is not possible to forward the responsibility. That's why we are checking whether next is null or not. If that is not null, then only I'm going to hand over the responsibility of checking the email ID validation or password validation. Okay, this is the simple abstract class I have taken. Okay, validator with two methods, set next for setting the value next, and the validate for checking whether the value what we are getting very first it is next is null or not. Okay, so now I'm going to create one class email check. Let me name it as email check, which extends an abstract class validator, which extends an abstract class. What is abstract class? We have validator. So using that abstract class extension, I'm going to create one class. The class name is email check. So now I'm going to write nothing more, public void what is the method name? Validate is the method available here in the abstract class. I can override that, right? Whatever the validate name is, though it is some code is written over there, I can override that. Why? Because it is a extending class. I can call it as, though it is extending from abstract class, it can be still the child class, like I can override the whatever the method is available in the parent, right? Validate. So same I am writing string name, string password. I cannot change them, right? So now number of parameters should be same. That's why I have kept it same. Now And what is the class name I'm taking here? Email check. Now let me check whether the email is valid or not. So what are the terms we can take? If email equals to null, email, whatever the value you are getting is equals to null, then also your email is not valid. Otherwise, if your uh, email dot, okay, so what are the names I have taken here? uh, Here name, okay, what are the string name I have taken, right? Sorry, instead of name let me take out as email. So here let me write down what are the value you are getting to the email. If it is null, otherwise the email dot contains uh, password at the rate. For example, it is having at the rate, you know that in email id we have at the rate symbol, right? So if the your email doesn't contain at the rate symbol, then also it is invalid, right? So here what the for that what I'm writing here, have a look. Not symbol, not content equals no, instead of this we can take dot contains. So if your email doesn't contain at the rate symbol, otherwise if your email is null, then you can say system dot out dot println invalid mail, right? Otherwise you can say valid, okay. After just sending it as a printing as valid, we need to do one, we make a call to validate method, not here. We need to make a call to the validate method of parent class. What is the parent class of this email check? You know what is the parent class? Abstract class only, no? Validator. So what is the method available here? Validate. Here I am sending. If your email ID is valid, then only you are sending your email and password data to this method email. Then if it is not null, then only it is going to be validated, right? That's why I have written like that. The simple code, this is only the code I'm going to write for email chat, and the similar code I'm going to write. Now one more class I'm taking, as I have to show the chain of responsibility example. At least two objects, separate objects should be there. I should have, that's why I need to create one more class. Otherwise I could have done with the single class, okay. So as the chain of responsibility topic or design pattern is to be explained, the objects must be more than one. That's why I'm going to create one more class for password checking. Just copy check, and this time let me write down password check, and all these are same. And if you are now you are checking about the password, right? That's why you write down, instead of email you write down password. If password equals to null, or password dot length minimum 8 characters should be there. If password equals to null, otherwise if password length is not equals to less than 8, otherwise let me make it simple. If password length is less than 8, then let me print the message like invalid password. Otherwise you say valid password, and you make a call to the validate method or super method. So these two are to be carried, whether it is the object related to I'm talking about the password check, or whether it is related to email check. This validate method I need to pass both the objects. Why? Because you observe the validate method contains both the parameters. That's why I need to pass both the parameters, okay. And here as it is email check, I am taking the object for checking the email. Condition I am taking for validation, I am checking related to email as it is email check. And this is related to validate method related to password check, validation related to password check. That's why I have taken the object password pwd, okay. So now done, I am done with my code related to chain of responsibility, okay. I am shifting to the main method, where I'll be creating object for both the child classes using what? Abstract class. Validator is the abstract class. As it is email related, I'm taking new. What is the class name for checking the email check? Sorry, email check. New email check. Done. Now I am going to create object for the class password check by using the abstract class validator. Rather password check, no? That's why I'm putting the object name as P. New PWD check. I guess that is the class we have created. Let me cross check once. PWD check. It is showing error. Why? Because the name what I have written is not proper. That's it. I have two objects now. Look at E dot. What I am writing is E dot set next method is to be called, and this time the responsibility is given to P. Set next P. I'm sending what as parameter P means the object of validator. Sorry, object of password check class. So P. So I'm sending that to whom? To this. Next. The next object will be that. Okay, that's what I'm trying to tell. Now I have to give some small example, right? To these, I need to send the input, right? That's why let me give two inputs. String email is the variable I am taking for entering the email. Let me give my email at the rate of gmail.com. Okay, and password also I am sending, giving not my password. Okay, some random password I am giving. The password at the rate ABC. Password at the rate. These are the two inputs I have given. What is the value of email? cmak.glon at the rate gmail.com. Password. These are. So very first E dot. Look at E dot validate method. I am making a call. By sending whatever the email value is there, password value I am sending to validate method. So very first the control will go to validate method by checking whether valid or not. After that the responsibility will be given to what? Next object P for checking whether password is valid or not. So here very first E will be taking care of, E is the object, first object which is taking care of validating the email very first. After that the responsibility will be handing over to password checking. So sorry, this is email. Where is that? Yeah, this one. Sorry, this is the email check, and next password checking will be taking care of whom? The next set next I have given, right? That will be taking care of password checking. So this is how the responsibility will be shifting from one object to another object. This is what we call it as chain of responsibility. I can create one more class here for extending the responsibility from second object to third object. For example, I have a class uh, length validator or something, password length validation extends. What is the abstract class we have? Validator, right? Validator. For example, this is the class I have. Guess, just assume. Okay, now what I will be doing, I will be creating object for that also. Validator length equals to L equals to new len length validation. Some name I have given for showing the example. Now the next responsibility will be given like P dot set next of L. This is how the responsibility is given to next object for checking the length validation. You can add code here for checking the length validation, or I can say whether uppercase letters are there, lowercase letters are there, capital letters. You know that your password should contain at least one capital letter, one small letter, one special symbol, all these things. That validation you can add here. Look here, from this chain of responsibility given from one object to another, one handler to another handler. That is what I am talking about, chain of responsibility design pattern. Okay, as of now I am not using the third object and third class. Okay, you can extend if you want. Okay, so look at the code for chain of responsibility design pattern. Just simple, I have created one validator class with set next method and validate method with its reference object from validator, and for setting the next value I have taken such set next method. Okay, so now validate is the method I have taken. So email check is the class I have created for checking the email. You know all these conditions in simple Java coding. You might have taken these kind of condition checkings. I have not done much here. There is nothing complexity here. Okay, I can say that compared to other design pattern, it is the very simple design pattern. And for password check also, I have taken the same validate method and checking whether password is valid or not. And here, this is the main, the chain of responsibility where I have applied. You just need to check it. Object created for email check, object created for password check, and the responsibility to next P. Thereafter, some random email value and password value are given for validations. And at last, let us check out the code. What is the output? I got it valid and valid password. So email valid I am not getting. Why? Because I have given only valid. Okay, if you want to get that message email, just let me update that. Okay. So now this is what the output we got it. This is about the chain of responsibility design pattern, and have a look at the code very carefully. I'm slowly scrolling down. This is the final code which can help you to type and execute. Hope you understood what chain of responsibility design pattern is. Thank you guys.